Three parts to today's challenge. Part one was to get the mass percent of the sugar in your piece of bubble gum, which you chose out of this tub. And number two, get the mass percent of the carbon in that amount of sugar. And finally, count the number of sugar molecules in your gum. So let's see, how are we going to do this? Let's get the mass percent of the sugar. First, we can do that by get that mass of the sugar over the mass of the gum. That'll give us that. So I'm gonna grab a piece. Now I suggested if you this gum has been out for a few months, so told you you could have used a mortar and pestle instead of chewing it, because these are rock hard. But I'm gonna chew it because I don't feel like messing with that thing. And you would have had to run it underwater for several minutes because sugar dissolves in water. Oh my, hold on, we need to zero this out. Zero out the wrapper. All right, so now I got the mass of the gum, 4.96. Oh, okay. Give that a few minutes. Oh. So mass of the gum was 4.96 grams. I'll be back after I chew this. About a minute has gone by and I can still taste the sugar. Spent 5 minutes. I think the sugar is almost all gone. Well, so now I'm drying the gum. So I let that dry, and I'm gonna mass it after I've chewed all the sugar out. So we're assuming 1.91. So we're assuming the gum is only made up of sugar and not sugar. So the final mass was 1.91 grams. So the original mass was 4.96 grams. And so the difference mass is the sugar. So 3.05 grams we'll say is the sugar, mass of the sugar. Right, let's punch that back and close this out. Go over here and put in 3.05 divided by 4.96 times 100, and we need a proper sig figs, so let's go 3 significant figures. 61.5. So 61.5% of the gum was sugar. Not bad. Was the mass percent of the sugar in the gum. Now number two, you didn't need gum at all. You just could have done that using your periodic table. So let's give you the formula for sugar. So let's get the molar mass of sugar. So for carbon, there's 12 carbons in a sugar molecule, and the molar mass of carbon is 12.01. So that's going to give us 144 point. I think that's it. Now for the hydrogen component, there's 22 of those, and each hydrogen has a molar mass of 1.0. Do the math a little bit easier. Grams per mole. And then finally the oxygen. There's 11 of them. The molar mass of that is 16. Oops. Let me go to my calculator for that. That turns out to be 176. So we're going to add up all those, and 342 grams per mole is the molar mass for the sugar. Let's follow sig fig rules. Let's get one more decimal in there. 142.3 grams per mole. So now to get the mass percent of the carbon right there, we're just going to take carbon's component, which is 144, put it over the molar mass of the compound. And that'll give us 42.1% for the answer to part 2. And because we have that, if we wanted to, we could have gotten the mass percent of the carbon in the whole gum, because we know the percent of the sugar is 42% carbon, and then we know how much sugar was in there. So, but that's not what we asked you. So let's move right on to the last part, is number 3. How many sugar molecules are in the gum? So we have the mass of the sugar in the gum right there. So let's just convert that to molecules. So I'll do that in this final color, brown. So we got 3. We're starting with 3.05 grams of sugar, and let's turn that into moles. We have the molar mass. That was down here. 342 grams per 1 mole of sugar. And then now we can turn that moles into a count, which is moles and Avogadro's number. And that'll give us our answer. Grams cancel out, moles cancel out. Let's punch that in. Let's punch those numbers that are up there. We got 3.05. Try that again. Divided by the molar mass of the sugar is 342.3, and multiply that by the Avogadro's number. So if we run the 3 sig figs, 5.37. So that's how many sugar molecules are in a piece of, some of these gums, assuming they're all the same size.